Committing to something takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to commit to something in your life, especially if it's something you really want. And I have always struggled with commitment, right? Especially at a young age, I deal with a lot of different things in my life where I had a lot of weight issues, right? And so committing to a healthy lifestyle for me was difficult, right? It really took a lot of concentration and a lot of prep work to get me to a stage to where I was actually able to transition out and commit to a healthier lifestyle. And I've done that several times throughout my life, right? And there are times when I start becoming committed, and I actually started playing more of a victim role, and I kind of watched myself tumble out of great shape into horrible shape, and not just in health, right? In many aspects of my life, where I essentially started college and I committed to it for a short while, right? I was ecstatic about it. I committed to it, and I found that when times really got hard, especially when I was going to college, I quit, right? Like I couldn't be committed. Like I was so spread thin that it was hard for me to commit to that thing. And again, many times through my life, I've struggled with committing to certain things in my life. And I find that for someone to really be committed, right, you have to really stop spreading yourself thin, right? I think it's really important when you commit to something that you really need to be committed to it, right? If this is something you really want, you have to stay committed to it. And one of the things I've found really helps to try to commit to something, right, is that you have to, dwindle it down to like 3 or 4 things in your life that you really want to be committed to, and then don't slack off on that, right? Really commit yourself to those things. Understand that these 3 or 4 things are something that I really want to have in my life, and then commit yourself to that, right? And build beliefs around that, build habits around that, build routines around those commitments to set yourself up for success. And this is what I really found, throughout the years, is that those times when I was really, hurting to commit to something was because I was spreading myself thin, and I started thinking about a bunch of other different things, right? And I think going into setting a commitment, you need to really think about the long term, right? Like, is this something you're really gonna want? Is this something you're really gonna maintain, for a good amount of time, not just for a couple weeks, a couple months, maybe even a couple years, right? If you are really committed, depending on what it is, right? Now, if it's a lifestyle change, I believe that yes, you should really be committed, right? Because that's a completely different change. You're going to break a bunch of habits. You're going to have to create a new routine. You're going to have to build a bunch of new habits. And so lifestyle changes can be extremely difficult, but they are possible, right? Like I have fluctuated in and out of my weight, and the times I committed and actually built a structure to help me stay committed, I have been extremely successful, right? And it's the same for all these other different avenues, right? If you want to write a book, right, you need to be committed, and you need to dedicate time to that. You need to create good habits to support that so that book is done, right? So it's just different commitments have, different kind of standards, right? But they have to be good, solid standards, beliefs, and routines that are going to keep you committed to that thing. And so before, starting any kind of commitment, you really need to look at the end goal, right? Is it something short span, like a book, right? Are you going to invest the time into that book? You dedicate the time every day to write towards that book. And then are you going to invest also the time and resources to get that book published, whether that's self-published or find a publisher? And then you have to remember, you got to also market that book, right? So it's a bunch of different aspects of it that you really need to focus on, right? And again, when you go back to the lifestyle change, this is something that you're going to have to maintain for a long period of time. When we get different goals, right, achievements that we want to achieve, sometimes we take that short span commitment that we may actually write for something like a book, right, that might be, a window, maybe it'll take a year to write a book, and you apply that to like your lifespan kind of decisions, right? So like this lifestyle, I want to, eat clean for 30 days. Well, that's not really a commitment, right? That's a short span commitment. When all reality, if you really want to be healthy, it's a lifestyle change. So you have to look at the long range of that commitment, right? As opposed to some short range window, which isn't going to do anything, because after that 30 days, you're going to go back to old habits. So the best way, again, to set up your commitments is to look ahead, right? Really look and see what's all entailed in that commitment that you want, and then dedicate the time and plan everything out. Understand what new habits you're going to have to pick up. Understand what kind of routine would help you succeed, right? If you come after work, what kind of routine is going to set you up? Can you work out before work or after work? You know, which one is going to work out better for you, that was going to keep you sustaining that lifestyle, right? And it's the same for anything else. If it's writing a book, starting a business, you know, these kind of things, you really need to structure it, and it helps to structure it, right? Now, it's not saying you can ever change a commitment, right? Now, if it's something like a book, you will obviously complete that book at some point. Maybe you'll decide to write another book afterwards, or maybe you won't. And maybe you're a one-hit wonder, right? And so that's just the thing, right? You just have to compare and kind of really look and see what you want to do, and structure it out, right? Maybe you make some lifestyle changes, and whatever diet you're on, you don't really particularly like it, right? Maybe you feel like your carbs are too low, or maybe you feel like you don't want to go vegan, or maybe you feel like, you know, you're doing keto and it's just not for you or something, right? Maybe that at that point, yes, I think this is where it comes into, you know, being able to audit yourself, right? And I think it's important to audit yourself. I think you should be auditing yourself on a daily basis, actually. But, you know, for something like this, when you're making commitments, you should audit it, right? Like at least once a month, look at it and say, okay, after 4 weeks is a good window, right? It's a good test period to look at it and say, okay, is this really working for me in the way I want it to? Or maybe I need to change to more habits, right? Maybe I'm not doing the correct habits that are setting me up for success. And so this is what's really important, is to do these things, right? And to set yourself up. And again, something I've really found in my life, that if you commit, it should only be a couple things that you should set yourself up so that commitment can be solid, right? And understand that there will be some slippage, right? That you won't always have motivation, that maybe for some reason something happens, so you'll be, for whatever reason, you can't write that book for a couple days, or maybe a month or something like that. It just depends, right? But if you're going to be committed, you have to finish it, right? You have to go into the whole thing knowing you're going to finish it no matter what happens. And this is ultimately what it comes down to, right? So that's just what you want to do, is to continue to monitor these commitments that you have, and understand that, you know, they may take some adjusting, but ultimately we want to not try to perfect it, right? Because you go into anything to try to perfect it, it's just not going to happen. You can't perfect, you know, this new lifestyle changes or these different commitments. There's going to be things that happen in life, right? Life just happens. So you just have to be aware of that and be able to adjust, right? Now, good routine would set you up so that you are completing a lot of these things regularly, right? But for whatever reason, something happens throughout the day and kind of throws your whole day off, right? But you still got to be committed. You could be like, okay, well, this is something I still want in my life, and no matter what time of day it is, maybe it is, you know, 10 o'clock at night, I am still committed to actually making this work. So I'm going to make sure before I actually close my eyes and go to sleep that this is going to be accomplished. And so it's just that, right, is to try to, again, shorten that span throughout your day where you're focused on those things that you really want to get done, right? And again, make sure it's a small amount of things. Make sure that you're committed to only a small amount of things, and things that you can really be committed to, right? Like, this is your core things. These are your core things that you want in your life. And so it's important to you, and so you should not sacrifice those things, but put in the effort and time into those things, even when sometimes it seems like it's impossible, that you're still going to execute and get those things done. So I hope this video helped you guys. If it has, remember to hit that like button. Also, remember to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And until next time, I will see you guys later.